I wish you all a happy Easter. And it's an odd Easter, isn't it? Easter in the time of the coronavirus. How does this sung text, the Exultet, speak to you at this time? What are the words and phrases that stand out to you that you might return to in prayer? Things like that. How does it touch you where you live? How does it speak to you where you live? I want to begin with this final part of the study, saying we've gone from the key of G major previous to the beginning of the Exultet to G minor, to B minor, to D minor, and now we're to E flat major, contradicting some of the, actually just adding two flats. And the major key makes a huge difference, as you'll hear. This fourth part follows, obviously, from part 3. The last study was about the night and the theologizing that this text does about the night. The walking toward the light that appears in the darkness. So I want to say some things about what appears in the text in this fourth part, and then we're just going to go through and listen together to this thing. And I'll point out highlights as we go. It does mention the night. Part 4 does mention the night. Its major focus is not the night, however. In a couple ways, several ways, it says, therefore, by the grace of this night, receive the offering of this candle, the Paschal candle, the Christ candle, the Easter candle. Receive the offering of the light. By the grace of this night, it's not the night that is graceful, it's the grace of God that appears in, the light that shows up. It talks about, oh, truly blessed night, which exalted your people and crushed their enemies. O night when earth is joined with heaven and the human is wed to the divine. Beautiful image. And it asks that this very candle consecrated to the honor of your name destroy the power of night. Not the night, but the power of darkness with its steadfast flame. And finally, there's only one kind of aside in this whole thing. For recall, many paths to follow. This is my translation of it. Many illusions to seek. Many lost, straying in the darkness. That's what we do when we're lost at night, we stray. That's about 5 or 6 appearances of the term night or darkness or whatever. During this same section, it's going to refer to the light, the flame, the fire, burning brightly, the star, the morning star, it shines. Different words that burn, that all characteristics of the flame. Receive the evening offering of this flame. It's a lucinarium that you would do at Vespers. It's an evening offering of the flame. And it's very much in the context of something similar to a Eucharistic prayer, the Lord be with you and such. We raise a brand new canticle proclaiming this Easter light, whose fire burns brightly to the honor and glory of God. So the major key is taking this and saying, this is the time that this very candle consecrated to the honor of your name destroy the power of darkness with its steadfast flame, faithful, steadfast love of God. And then in a very interesting turn of phrase in the Latin, and I had to play with this in the translation, I say, may the true bearer of light, the morning star ever bright, find this flame ever blazing, the Christ, the true morning star, which knows no setting. The bearer of light in Latin, literally is Lucifer. Don't get your shorts in a bundle. Lucifer means bearer of light. And since the Exultet was written in the 4th and 5th centuries, there was probably a notion that Christ is the true bearer of light. And that as later mythologization of Satan, Lucifer, and stuff, as the Prince of Darkness came about more strongly, I'm sure there came to be this, oh, now what do we do here? What I would put it down to is the discernment of spirits that Ignatius speaks about in the spiritual exercises. The good spirit leads us in this way, the true bearer of light. And the enemy of human nature, the spirit that leads us to not just sin, but to be locked in on ourselves and our self-will. That's the spirit of the enemy. So when you hear that, the true bearer of light, it's Christ. And finally, as it concludes, talks about that light which, having risen from the grave, so it is Christ, shines joyfully on all who live and breathe. Last thing is, it makes the text refers to the candle 3 times. O God, receive this the grace of this night, the evening offering of this flame, which your church returns to you by the solemn gift of this Easter candle. So the Lucianarium is a handing over, is offering, like we would do with bread and wine. It's an offering to God, and it's this lovely part from the hands of your ministers and the work of tiny bees. All creation collaborates in bringing this candle together to on which the flame burns brightly, the steadfast flame that signifies, that stands for, you might even say is sacramental of the presence of Christ in the light. The bees, the tiny bees, were left out of the Exultet translation in the 1970-75 versions. It says, this is in the reflection in the aside, your wandering people are drawn to the holy candle. So we who are straying in darkness are drawn to step into the light. We see it, and we come to it to see the light. And we make the great risk of being seen in the light and seeing ourselves more clearly. But the text talks about that we are drawn to the light, to the holy candle, whose wax the mother bee brought forth into the heart of this most precious light. Again, the collaboration with creation and the wonder of all that comes to bear in the candle. And finally, let us pray to you, O God, that this very candle, consecrated to the honor of your name, again destroy the power of darkness with its steadfast flame. So let's listen to this as a way to find ourselves present to the mystery of Christ. We who are drawn out of the darkness, who come to meet the Christ and risk stepping into the light to see the Lord and to meet ourselves anew. See what words and phrases and images
Let it
touch your
make
life.
pride
Here it
and
goes. I'm just gonna-
tyranny bend low. Let
This
it
is
give
the
birth
the
to
third
true
part, the
union
final refrain of that.
of hearts. This is the night, the light
The
broke, the chains of death.
holy night.
O night of glory.
Tempo change from 92 to 76.
Therefore, by the grace of this night, receive, O holy God, the evening offering of this flame, which your church returns to you by the solemn gift of this Easter candle from the hands of your ministers and the work of tiny beings.
Refrain comes up.
This is the night, the light broke, the chains of death.
Holy night. Glory.
O night of glory.
So now we raise a brand new canticle, proclaiming this Easter light, whose fire burns brightly to the honor and glory of God.
Here's the aside.
For recall many paths to follow, many illusions to seek, many lost straying in the darkness.
But your wandering people are drawn to the holy candle, whose wax the mother be brought forth into the heart of this most precious light.
This is the night, the light broke, the chains of death. O holy night, O night of glory. O truly blessed night, which exalted your people and crushed the enemies.
O night when earth is joined with heaven, and the human is wed to the divine.
Let us pray to you, O God, that this very candle, consecrated to the honor of your name, destroy the power of darkness with its steadfast flame. This is the night, the light broke, the chains of death. O holy night, O night of glory.
96 tempo.
May the true bearer of light, the morning star, ever bright, find this flame ever blazing. The Christ, the true morning star, which knows no setting.
That light which, having risen from the grave, shines joyfully
Shines joyfully
on all who live and breathe. Amen.
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 Happy Easter, all. Let the Lord in. Step to the light. God bless you all.